You're listening to the Smart Policy Podcast, a production of the University of Tennessee's Institute for Public Service. The group of people that are dying of overdoses at the highest rate, by far, are men in their 30s through their 50s. This group is also statistically far less likely than others to ask for help.
There are things that we learn over the course of our developmental years, be assertive and to be strong and to take care of our families. We're taught this from our parents, our grandfathers, our great-grandfathers. Also, culture teaches men to, learn to try to fix things, even though we're not always equipped to fix. We're always quick to tell you that we can fix something. But with that being said, doing that sometimes doesn't give us the opportunity to explore mental health and coping issues and strategies around that. And it could also pull us away from asking someone for help when we need it, because we might feel like they may look at us as being not as strong as we should be.
This is one of the biggest reasons why it can be difficult to implement effective prevention strategies targeting working age men. My guest this month is Dr. Monty Burks, Deputy Director of the Tennessee Governor's Faith-Based and Community Initiative, which seeks to empower community resources to tackle the biggest challenges of our time, including overdose, addiction, and recidivism. Monty is also a certified peer recovery specialist with years of experience engaging people with substance use disorder and meeting them where they are. So I could think of no better person with which I wanted to discuss one of the main consequences of these deaths, the impact to their families. After all, many of these men were fathers, as are many of those men who are still in the throes of active addiction. What can we do to reach this surprisingly vulnerable population and help them become the best versions of themselves?
Give people the space and the place to tell you that, hey man, something isn't right, something happened to me along the way. I need to get it addressed so I can be a more effective version of myself. We as people that might not be part of that family have multiple chances to intersect and use our gifts to support people breaking generational cycles.
In this conversation, we talk about the ways that we, the people of Tennessee, can step up to help, whether it's foster care or peer recovery, to even just listening to someone who needs to be heard and giving them a fair chance.
Hey, my name is Monty Burks. I'm the Deputy Director of the Governor's Faith-Based and Community Initiatives. What draws me to this work is my love for people, helping people, and also my love to see people that have been through things in their life, things that they should not have survived from. I love seeing those people matriculate into leadership positions and then having the opportunity to go out and serve and help other people not go through the same things they went through.
That's such a beautiful reason. And in fact, it kind of echoes what we're here to talk about today. It's kind of a fatherly perspective, isn't it?
Absolutely, man.
Yeah, so that's something you've spoken, I think, most eloquently on this out of anybody I know in the field, I think, at least in our space right now, is the importance of family and community, reintegrating fathers back into the family unit. It's a tough time right now. Most overdoses, the majority of all overdose fatalities are working age men, and a lot of those men have kids. So there are kids who are grown up now without a father. And so it's clear that this is a really needed point of intervention. And I just wanted to touch base with you on that, like what's going on, as you can understand. Why are men getting hit so hard with this? What can we do to help these men survive, number one, and then we'll go from there. That's a whole can of worms. So.
Oh man, it's a lot to unpackage there.
Yeah.
So I won't give a detailed instruction on the first part, but I can talk about responses. And we do understand that there's a significant number of men that have been hit in this space. Also, there's a significant number of men that have been touched by the criminal justice system, significantly more than our female population. These correlations remove men from traditional society, put them into kind of a step back position from work, family, opportunity. So what happens is the people who suffer are the little ones and their spouses. So again, we're speaking from a men-centric perspective right now. That's where I'm at, talking about just the men in the household or the men in our communities. If they have been justice involved, justice impacted, or they have been in active drug use, misuse, or had consequences thereof, again, they're removed from the family. So when a man is removed from a family, it doesn't just affect him.
Right.
He's a breadwinner. He's a resource. He's a leader. He does all these things as a provider and a protector. Not being a part of the team that he's helped build makes a deficit on the team. And for a team to win, it needs all of its players. And that's how I'm looking at a family and social family dynamics. Is you have a squad, man. You have a team.
Yes.
You have however the team looks. Sometimes the team has grandparents on it. Sometimes it has extended family. But when you have a team and people play a role, and somebody is absent of their role, the team suffers. Sometimes the team gets a sub. Sometimes the team doesn't. And the more vulnerable players are the ones that don't have the most assets, are the ones that don't have or lose access to things they can't control, like food, shelter, clothing, all the things that kids, need to thrive. This is why understanding fatherhood is important. Also understand that you don't have to be a bio father to take care of children and to love children.
Yes.
I'm really, something that I'm proud of in this work. We're very deep into the foster care space, encouraging families to foster young people, encouraging, other dads and other people to step in the gap or stand in the gap while sometimes people are going through some of life's unique issues until they can get themselves together so they can fill in their role, and be a part of their team. So that's just a little on that, man. And I hope the team analogy, I hope that makes sense. You had a 5-man squad and one man's missing and somebody, it is what it is.
No, that's a really, really good way of looking at this, because that's we're not trying to downplay the suffering of women here either. What you're pointing out is when you take someone out of a family unit, you impact the family, period. I really like the team analogy because, each team is going to look a little bit different. How the roles are shaped out is a little bit different. I like how you included grandparents and cousins and extended family. But when we talk about men dying of these higher rates, it's not that we're trying to say this is the only thing we should focus on. It's just pointing out that, yeah, there's going to be ramifications well beyond just that individual. It's going to impact the whole family.
Well, see, another caveat is, so part of that, the culture of men is rooted in thinking that we can problem solve sometimes when we can't.
Right.
And so I'll say this to add to that. A couple of the reasons that men might dive into those spaces more is because of social isolation, not wanting to go see a doctor, not wanting to seek help, and also risk-taking behavior.
Right.
Even though some of us are not extroverts, we hang around with a lot of extroverts that are very driven to take risky behavior, chances, shots, and then not go to the doctor when we're broken.
Yeah. That's such a huge thing. I'm touching on our health behaviors, touching on our loneliness epidemic. We're not only the majority of overdose deaths, we're the majority of suicides. We're dying younger than women of preventable chronic diseases like heart disease and the like. So are you saying a lot of this is really tied together?
It could be, yes. Culturally, we as part of the product,
right?
We as men, again, this is totally around fatherhood. There are things that we learn over the course of our developmental years, and those are some good things. We learn to, be assertive and to be strong and to take care of our families. We're taught this from our parents, our grandfathers, our great-grandfathers. Also, culture teaches men to, learn to try to fix things, even though we're not always equipped to fix. We're always quick to tell you that we can fix something.
Right.
But with that being said, doing that sometimes doesn't give us the opportunity to explore mental health and coping issues and strategies around that. And it could also pull us away from asking someone for help when we need it, because we might feel like they may look at us as being not as strong as we should be.
Right.
There's power in conversation. There's also power in communication. And when you can conversate and communicate with someone when you're in need, it could stop someone from being removed from their family. It could actually make them stronger for their family if they seek help.
That's such a huge, huge issue. Yeah, we're not taught to ask for help because of that fear of being seen as weak, or even not just weak, ineffective. I think that's like one of the worst fears for a lot of men is I can't do it. I am not useful. How do you see it when you work with the community?
I've seen a little bit of both of that, man. I've worked in rural, urban, suburban, and all the things in the middle. And the culture of communities is unique. Man, it's unique, especially in geographic areas. But you really have people that have gravitated into and graduated into leadership roles, and sometimes they have not had a chance in the process of becoming that leader to care for themselves.
Huh.
And along the way, there are fractures that happen. Fractures are harder to heal than a break. And it is, man, it is what it is, man. You have these really strong people that have struggled to get into their positions and might not have ever talked about the struggles that went with that. They didn't talk about deficits in their household when they grew up, the things that may have happened to them along the way, the aces, the trauma,
Right.
all of the things that could affect their ability to lead, father, govern, all of the things that they feel like they were built to do. One of the things I think we're all built to do is live and to thrive. And if we have unchecked things that are imbalanced inside of us, I don't think we become effective leaders. I'm in the martial art world. You know that, man. I'm big into the MMA space, jiu-jitsu, judo, Muay Thai, kickboxing, all the things. And those sports, deficits will show themselves pretty quick.
Yeah.
When you can say that you're tough all day, and then you go spar with someone that's really tough, that trains really hard, and then you have a, respectfully, a come to Jesus moment
Right.
with yourself. Like, okay, maybe I wasn't ready for that.
Yeah.
I think that happens, in a lot of other facets and disciplines in people's lives. We just don't have to admit it because we can hide behind other things. And I love the concept of individual accountability. Give people the space and the place to tell you that, hey, man, something isn't right. Something happened to me along the way. I need to get it addressed so I can be a more effective version of myself.
I love that. And it also really highlights the flip side and why our current era of the drug crisis is so critical. Because, that come to Jesus moment you just described, if that challenge is how much opioids your body can handle, and we're talking about fentanyl, you don't get a chance to recover from that. So I wonder the need for primary prevention, getting people, addressing people with social skills before they face that challenge is so critical. Is that, am I picking up something there?
No, you're picking up something, man. Men, we self-medicate, right? We're
Mm,
we're the most self-medicating group of people ever. When I say
yeah.
self-medicate, I'm not just talking about medication from a doctor's office. We will, instead of going to proper mechanisms for help, we are notorious for going somewhere else, because we don't want to accept that we need help.
Right.
Our counterparts, women, they are more likely to ask for help with mental health struggles. They're more than likely to go see a counselor or a therapist.
Yeah.
They will do that.
Yeah.
We, on the other hand, will let the egg continue to crack until the egg is completely broken. And, somewhere along the way, man, I think that pure objective masculinity is identifying root causes and problems and addressing them, because our role as a patriarch in this culture that we live in, you have to figure out those things before you try to lead somebody else. It's hard to lead somebody when you need to, when you still have these open gaps in who you are. And again, I relate that to the martial art world. Jeremy, I've trained for years. I've seen many, many people come in gyms that are like looking for community, looking for something.
Yeah.
And because the world got ahead of them too fast, something happened to them. I see these really cool men, become better fathers, become better nurturers, teachers, whatever their role is, better workers, whatever it is. They become better because they've been beaten and broken so much that they're willing to admit that they don't know what they're doing and they need somebody to help them. I want that to be something more regular in the diet of men when we talk about fatherhood. You can lead, but you can also teach your child that I'm not perfect. I've made mistakes, but I grew from them. This is the mature thing I did.
I had somewhat similar experiences when I went through Boy Scouts. You go out into the woods. I remember one particular camp out where they gave us a map and a compass, and they said, "We've marked on the map where your lunch is. Good luck." And it was miles deep into the Ozark Mountains, and that'll make you think about what you can and can't do for sure. But that sort of opportunity I was lucky to have. What can it look like for integrating men into opportunities like this? Because say you don't have a good martial arts gym near you, you don't have a good scout troop or something like that. And I guess with this, I'm talking with primarily young men, teenagers and 20 somethings and whatnot. But what kind of opportunities are there?
Man, I love that you even said that. I'm in a couple of different groups where men fellowship with men and discuss strategies, pros, cons, successes and non-successes. I think that as we explore how to be stronger versions of ourselves, fellowshipping with other versions of ourselves and other versions of success and maturity, and also other versions of mistakes is a thing that will help us grow.
Mm,
When you fellowship with people and you have a problem solving exercise, just like this is where your lunch is,
right.
things like that cause people to think, use their brain. Over the years, we've removed ourselves from sometimes we remove ourselves from individual critical thinking because we have multiple groups of people that can help us in an instant. You have social media, you have media, you have AI now, you have all of these things that can think for you. The truth
Mm,
is we need to learn to think critically for ourselves. That makes us make better decisions for those that depend on us. We don't always have access to something else. Sometimes the access is going to be just here and it's going to be a split second decision. So fellowshipping and learning from others, spending time out in the woods, camping, man, even if you physically can't go out in the woods, that's fine. If you have to do something online, critical brain thinking exercises so that when you as a father, as a mentor, as a man are hit with a split second decision, you can make one and you can do it well because our decisions are usually the sum of our experiences.
yeah.
That's the way we're going to sway. So you went out in that with the Boy Scouts. I was in the Boy Scouts too. I loved it, man. I learned a lot. Actually learned how to whittle.
Yeah.
I learned how to open a knife, close a knife, how to sharpen a knife, all of these things that if I had learned on my own, some of it I did learn on my own. I also cut myself on the way.
Right.
But there are people who could teach me how to not make the mistakes they made.
Yeah.
And me as a young, impressionable man, I was willing to take that advice. And then I was able to transfer that to my son and to his friends. And to anybody that would ask, like, oh, here's how you do that. Here's how you tie that knot.
Right.
Pinewood Derby, I can make a car. There's all these different, opportunities when we fellowship
Yeah.
and share. We can do that. You can remember as a young man, Boy Scouts, Eagle Scouts, all of the things along the way. You had all of these older, retired people. These men would come in and show you how to use a hammer and a nail. Of course, I learned from my family, but man, I got this person that doesn't know me. I've got my yellow bandana wrapped around my neck. I've got my stripes on my shoulder, man. I'm feeling good about myself, and I've got somebody else's grandfather showing me something that mine didn't. And I was willing to take that information. We should continue to impress upon our men to volunteer, and we
Yes.
should impress upon our men to learn from each other.
A couple of points you said had me thinking about the role of video games in young masculinity. It does seem to have, on the one hand, somewhat of a protective effect for isolation. It is bringing some guys together, and there is teamwork and problem solving, split second decisions, critical thinking, and there's good evidence showing that it has its benefits. But on the other hand, these activities are not embodied, and they can be addictive in and of themselves in terms of you're not going outside at all. It's a tough situation if there's not so many physical embodied places for men to be friends with each other. It does seem like it's a sort of stave off the withdrawal of isolation opportunity. At least that's how I see it. I just wonder your thoughts, especially as a father of sons.
Man, I to be honest with you, man, when people can't move, I think that this conversations like we're having right now are something that needs to be made more mainstream.
Hmm.
And if people are looking for support groups to talk, we did it during COVID. We did it with Zoom and Teams during COVID.
Right.
I had many groups of people that I fellowship from my church groups where we would just get on the Zoom meeting and it'd be 20 of us and we would just chat. We'd eat dinner, couldn't go see each other.
Yeah.
So we figured out how to see each other. I did it with Project Lifeline. It'd be 30 of us on a call. And, somebody would always accidentally unmute, while they were listening to music or every once in a while, even when they went to the bathroom. You know what? We were just having fun knowing that our team was connected to us.
Yeah.
So there are going to be situations where someone might have a physical limitation or other limitation where they can't connect with people physically. So what? Start an online community, find an online community, or reach out to, one of us. I would always be willing, if anybody reached out to me, to have I'd meet them on Teams or Zooms. I'd probably, me, Jeremy, I'd probably just meet them in person.
Yeah.
And maybe even invite them into some other communities. Proximity to people is a limitation, But man, if you can get online and tell me what you don't have, you can get on an online support group with some people to talk to you.
Coming back around to learning from other men, getting more men to volunteer. I've noticed in the culture a real hunger for this need. Let's look at the actor Pedro Pascal. There's two huge shows right now that he's connected with: The Last of Us and The Mandalorian, both of which involve him, this old disgruntled lonely dude, becoming a dad, right?
Yeah, they
Functionally,
do, man.
but I've seen so many other shows, major popular shows, that all involve around this gruff loner dude taking on the responsibility of a father figure, even if it's to a literal alien or something like that. But it makes them a better person, and I just that to me speaks of a big hunger for more of that stepping up. Do you think our cultural media is doing a good job sending that message? Do we need to do a better job there? Like, what other ways can we promote this thought that men should get involved in their communities in a positive way?
So it's a good question you asked, man. Media can be a positive or it can be a negative, but media is the wild, wild west. It's free choice for anybody that wants to, get entertained by anything.
Yeah.
Truthfully, if anybody's looking for a word, I'm going to give you one. If you want to be better and do better, feed yourself better things. If you take poison and put it into a plant, the plant will eventually die. So if you keep looking at negative stuff and listening to negative stuff and hanging around with negative people, all the joy, light, and growth in your life are going to die because you've done nothing but feed it poison. So if a person is looking or they're on the fence and they're like, I really want to be more of a, like Peyton. I love him in The Last of Us, man. That's
Yeah.
great. I love what he's done. That is a good show. And
Yeah.
also in The Mandalorian, he's taking care of Grogu, right?
Yeah.
So that's why I do watch both of them. So each one of those, that is a great example. Look, young generation that can hear me right now, you can be a 25-year-old mentor to a 15-year-old child. You can still provide a semblance of a male leader role with your age and success. You could have graduated college and talked to some 12 and 13-year-olds about paying attention in school, tobacco cessation, don't binge drink, don't drink, all the things. Like, take an active role and then feed yourself nurturing content, and also content that drives you towards success. Another thing, Jeremy, since you brought that up, is we have the opportunity to transfer healing information from generation to generation, or we can pass trauma from generation to generation.
Yeah.
We can do that. We have an opportunity as adults to speak life into other people. That doesn't take away the bad experiences we've got. But what happens is that we continue to share bad experience as if they're still happening. People 15 or 20 years from now are going to think that the same thing is going to happen to them, even though they haven't done, the circumstances are not the same.
Yeah.
So we have an opportunity to tell them, like, hey, bam, bam, bam. These are the things that can equal, and you can push yourself this way. If we hyper focus on all of the mistakes and all of the consequences of the mistakes, and that's it, sometimes that will stunt people's growth and also make them just really, I'm just going to stay in my box, never going to grow. That's the end for me. And we should be careful not to do that.
Okay, interesting. So in our outreach, it shouldn't be focusing on only mistakes. You have to give people a way out, is what you're saying. You have to talk about what they can do, what they can be. Otherwise, they're going to just stop listening.
You ain't even lying, my brother.
Hey, this ties in so literally with what you're doing with the governor's initiative. Could you give a brief overview of what this initiative is and what y'all seek to accomplish?
Our Office of Faith-Based and Community Initiatives is we work across all major departments to figure out community-based collaborations to support other government work and also the governor's priorities. Our two major priorities are Every Child Tennessee, which has a focus on foster care, encouraging foster families. One is we want to encourage foster families to continue the work they do, invite other foster families into the space, and also support them while they're in the space, and also work with youth as they transition out of the foster system. Our second major initiative is Volunteer Mentor Initiative, which is an initiative around mentoring individuals while they're incarcerated, and also mentoring the same individual while they're post-incarceration. So 12 months incarcerated, 12 months post-incarceration with the same mentor, 24 sessions a total of 24 hours over a course of 2 years. That opportunity could give a person who's not had any positive leadership in their life a chance to spend time with someone that has survived, maybe similar struggles, but has found success and success metrics and ways that they operate and do business.
Yeah.
These are our two major initiatives. We have some other stuff that's coming down the pipe. I'll share with you on our next podcast opportunity that's going to go on YouTube because I feel like that we should film it. We're really geared toward serving all aspects of a human being through life. So you have children that age out of the foster system there's statistically, they have a high chance of ending up either incarcerated or homeless. And then you have people that are incarcerated that have the overwhelming majority of them have children. And there's a correlation between all of it. We'll talk about that on another podcast. But if you think about it, we as people that might not be part of that family have multiple chances to intersect and use our gifts to support people breaking generational cycles. So whatever that is, however that happens and however it needs to happen, I encourage you. You ain't got to agree with me. You don't have to be a person of faith. You don't have to be anything to love someone in their darkest moment. You can literally give a minimal amount of your time. Instead of complaining about everything that doesn't go right, take that same energy and hold somebody's hand while they're struggling. People usually don't ask you for anything, man. Sometimes they just need some time with someone that'll just listen to them.
So true.
I've seen some very powerful individuals walk out of a prison cell, and then 10 years later, they have a Fortune 500 company. They did this because they were given opportunities and they were mentored by people that were very effective with their voice. So that's kind of where we are in that space, and we're trying to encourage more of that.
That rhymes so well with what we see with peer recovery services in the world of addiction treatment and recovery. Was there some common thinking there? Clearly this pairs with peer recovery services. Like say you had a peer recovery specialist tied to a reentry program. That's clearly a connection there. How does it fit these two worlds? Because there's going to be an overlap with overdose prevention and substance use recovery. Of course, this initiative seems much broader, but yeah, what's the tie-in?
Oh man, it's all a tie-in. So we encourage people with lived experience to be in this space, peers. They don't necessarily have to be a certified peer, but people who identify someone with similar struggles, usually that's who people in our mentorship initiative, that's who people gravitate toward. They want someone that's from their culture, someone that's from their hometown, someone that knows what the mountains look like, someone who might have been formerly incarcerated, someone who might have been a foster child, foster parent. All of this, people recognize people that have lived through their struggle. There are deficits in me as a human being. There are certain groups of people that I would not be an effective mentor with. Of course, I talk to them, but what I would do is I would try to map them with someone that's been through something similar. So they have a baseline understanding, and then somewhere they can connect. So you're absolutely right. I think that lived experience is one of the missing crucial pieces in a lot of the work that we do.
Oh yeah.
So sometimes we as academics forget that there are people that are smarter than the book that was written about them. So long-term, there's studies written off of people's backs that don't tell the whole story. They tell what the study was designed for. And then you have the individual that was incarcerated for 8 years that's out here in the community, preaching off of a milk cart in the middle of the housing projects or a trailer park, helping people find access to treatment, recovery resources, and housing. You cannot put that fully in a book, and you can't quantify that. You can't. That lived experience is exactly what's needed. So I think our academic space needs to partner better with our street practicum space. Some of our street folks are never going to go to college. We don't need them to. They've already been to a college. Whatever they survive from is the college that they've been through. So let's work around that and lead with that. Not take that and try to lead in front of it, lead beside it. The disconnects in community usually happen, man, because people feel like some other group that comes in doesn't listen to them.
Right.
So that's one of the that's something that government hasn't done well over the years, is government will come in with a solution, and sometimes the solution doesn't involve the people that they're trying to help.
Yeah.
If you want to be solution-based and be effective, you go to the people that are there. You look at find the champions, the survivors, and empower them to help whatever initiative you have. Empower them to explain and translate for you. And then you're going to get a different outcome.
Workforce development is a crucial area here as well. Getting the right job skills training or knowing the right industry that might fit you. We see a lot of good work being done with reentry programs, but not everybody is, for lack of a better term, lucky to go to the jail that has the good programs, right? It's going to depend on where you are. And when you are incarcerated, of course. But even beyond just reentry, I think a lot of men feel like the job force doesn't make sense like it used to. I think there's a lot of uncertainty of what direction they can go into. College is definitely not for everybody. For those that is, great, and we have great opportunities for getting people to college, like the Hope Scholarship and everything. But I guess what I'm getting at is for workforce development, there's such an overlap here. What kind of things should we see in this space to get more people thinking about who they can be as a provider?
Man, workforce development is a unique animal.
Yeah.
There's a lot of different modalities when you talk about that. Like, what is workforce development? It depends on what discipline you studied, what workforce development is.
Right.
So if you come from a treatment background, workforce development might be helping someone find sobriety, using medication to do that, using evidence-based protocols to do that. If you work in the recovery field, it might be giving someone community and community to walk beside them to lead them in the workspace. If you work in the criminal justice field, it could be helping someone have better habits and understanding. Stinking thinking is a concept, used in the prison system, but understanding how to catch that cognitive break early and then address it. I think it's called, oh my God, there's a word, there's a term for it, but it's awareness, belief, consequence. Help people rational self-counsel themselves.
Okay.
So they can challenge the belief and understand that there's a consequence to the belief and the decision that they make from it. All of these are different forms of workforce development, because you have people that might fall between the cracks somewhere along the way, or they might have something they've not been taught. So their responses to things may be very different. So to get them back into the workplace, we have to address the whole human, not just a piece of the human. So if I go and take a person through MRT, a cognitive behavioral therapeutic module, we take them through MRT and we never address their addiction history, then we have a person that's they're catching one side, but they still have impulses and triggers that haven't been addressed. Then we have a person who's been through a 12-month treatment program and they're doing good and they're doing all the things, and we have not addressed the family dynamics, and we stick them back in the same household with a family that still actively uses or drinks, or that does all the things that help them get into the place that they're in.
Right.
So workforce development is caring for a person's from a holistic perspective, and then gearing them and getting them ready to go into a space where they can survive the job that they get. They can be effective. Everybody's not made to work behind a desk, and everybody's not made to work in a factory. There's a lot of different things that happen in the middle. Get the person ready and then give them the supports and help them understand the supports they need moving into that space.
Yeah, so they can understand their options better and which speaks to them more. Yeah, that's what a robust answer you just gave about how workforce development can look at like so many different things depending on where you come from. I think that there's a lot to chew on there. So usually our last question is what policies at the state or federal or even local level could have a positive impact. And you're welcome to answer that, but I think, since what the initiative is doing is trying to target a sort of small p policy, the social policies, as it were, the unspoken policies of, say, our faith communities, our community groups, our associations. What kind of policies in that space should we be or employer policies should we be considering?
So let me hit this on it. If you're talking about workforce development, let me go into employment policies.
Sure.
I encourage employers to not give a person a chance because of their past, but look at the whole person, the things that they, where they are now, the things they've done since, they had whatever shows up on their record. I know that some people may never be able to work in some spaces. Totally get that, and that's warranted. There are risk and liability that take place.
Right.
But there are also opportunities to realize that a person may have been sick and might have needed to heal. that a person may have made a mistake and they've made amends, or that a person might have just grown up and the marijuana charge from 17 years ago shouldn't hold them back from a leadership position in a company when they've worked their way up from a janitor, to a director role.
Right.
There are ways employers can look different, use innovation. And I know there are lots of HR groups right now that are really looking at, what? We've got these employees that we can see their work history. They've got some bumps and bruises along the way. So maybe that imperfect resume and that imperfect person might be a great fit for our team. So let's put them on a 90-day probationary period and let them work. They seek the job. They meet the qualifications for the job. People quit in the workforce. Workforce participation is low right now.
Yeah.
Retention rates are low. Look at the recovery community. Look at the reentry community. Their numbers are high.
Yes.
They will go to work. They will work extra time, and they will do jobs that are not within their scope because people take advantage of being given another opportunity. I mean, I'm not saying I don't want to overgeneralize that, but you and I both know, Jeremy, lots of people that they've found their freedom. They've found, all of their things to make them be a better person. It's like they have little cars that ride right beside them. They can jump into each one. And then we see them go into the workplace and they change the whole dynamics of a work group. They're willing they might empty the garbage and provide a clinical assessment all in the same 2 hours. Like that's the kind of people that I want to work with right there, brother.
Yeah, I agree. I on average, this is the most resilient community I've ever experienced is the recovery community. I like how you said at least consider giving them a chance is as an employer policy is strong. Is there anything else you'd like to add?
Man, I just want to say, appreciate you letting me, operate with you in this space. I love it. I'm sorry that it's taken us so long to get together on this, but, using your voice to do any kind of advocacy for people is great. We work in behavioral health, all of us. So as practitioners, you might not have lived experience, but you're going to be serving people with lived experience. So if you're going to be serving people with lived experience, immerse yourself in relationships with people like that. That's like, I'm a person with lived experience. Be my friend. Ask me questions and let me share with you the reality. And also that sometimes there are people that are really good at book work, but not good at people work. So you can be good at both, but you have to learn to work with people. And sometimes it's not about serving them in a professional capacity. It might just be learning from them in a very personal capacity. That's a two-way street that I think helps, us as a species continue forward as we continue to try to understand each other, not just for data purposes, for humanity. I do a lot of fellowshipping with people that are completely different than me. And it's been one of the most amazing things in the world. Some of them say things to me that I don't fully agree with. And sometimes the language is a little coarse. Who cares, man? Love people for being people. Right. Give them a shot to be them. I don't got to agree with you to like you or respect you. And I do MMA. Come train with me. You might beat me up in the gym. It's all good. We can beat each other up in fellowship. The last thing I want to say, man, it was a pleasure to meet you and your family, to see, you move into this role of you. It's pretty cool. I knew you pre, now I know you post, right? And I've met your people, and I've seen your mini. So it's like okay, I saw y'all riding on the boat. I saw y'all taking the boat, and y'all didn't see me. I saw y'all. I was gonna go, make a noise. I was like, you know what? That is like beauty. That's a beautiful thing, man. So continue to be the father that you are, because you're the epitome of this fatherhood initiative. So thankful for you, brother.
Thank you, Monty. That means a lot coming from anyone, but especially from you. I feel similarly thankful for getting to know you in this space as well. And man, thank you for coming on this show. As I said, you're one of the most authoritative speakers on these issues. So I really appreciate you coming on the Smart Policy Podcast.
You are the man. I appreciate it, man. I look forward to coming back. When you start your visual podcast, I would love to be a part of it, man. I love the vision of the work. I remember when you started this, man, and I know you're going to take this to the next level. That is what you do, Jeremy. That's in your heart, and it's in your team's heart. So you have a wonderful weekend, friend.
Hey, thank you. You too. For more episodes on in-depth discussions on Tennessee policies related to substance use disorder by a range of local experts, please subscribe to us wherever you get podcasts and visit our website at smart.tennessee.edu. I'm Jeremy Corvellis. Thank you for listening, and see you next month.